Okay, so hello. Hello to everyone after a very rough week
Yes.
at the Parente headquarters. Do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jason Parente, for those who don't know me yet.
And I'm Marija Parente. And we're married, if anyone is watching for the first time. And it will be 12 years at the end of this April.
Yeah.
We have two children, two boys. They are 10 and almost 8. And it's been a pretty rough week, actually, of parenting. So I think this might be, I don't know, maybe more useful or interesting or validating to people who are parents, because I think unless you are a parent and you are dealing with parenting stuff, you actually can't quite fully get it or have appreciation for what it takes. Let me say it that way.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's true. As you were saying that, I keep talking about this skit from this comedian, Michael McIntyre, who talks about even dressing up, like the difference between going out as with children compared to going out as single adults. And he keeps the whole skit is about like, they think they know, but they don't know, talking about non-parents, right? But, there's as parents, there's a level of dedication, and I'm trying to find the right word. It's not like unselfishness, but it is. I don't even know if that's a word. Selflessness. Like there's a level of selflessness that life almost asks of you, and it's unpredictable, and it's unplannable for. Like you can't really plan for it. And it really requires just this willingness to be taken over like a wave sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone chooses to. Actually, I don't know. I don't know how people choose to be parents. I can say, for me, it was a pretty blind decision in a sense that I had no idea what it required. And sometimes I think this is not a positive thing to say, and I don't mean it like I would change anything, not in that way, but if I knew what it would take from me, I don't know that I would choose it. But I think life is that way. Like we don't know everything. We don't have all the cards on the table before we get into something. And maybe for some people, the decision comes from more clarity because they are around other parents. I'm somebody who has a lot of single people around me and also non-parents around me. So I had very few places to learn from. And the people that made the biggest impact in my life are people who were in relationship and who did have kids and who I witnessed deal with that. Like I remember my friend Karen having Hayden. I remember Adrian and Chris having kids and watching that. I remember a few people, especially during my training at Landmark, because we were so intimately connected and shared a lot about our lives. People who shared about their children, and at the time it didn't really faze me. I didn't realize how much it didn't faze me.
Yeah, we don't get it.
It just didn't penetrate me in certain ways. It really didn't. It was one of those wow, but I even had very judgmental thoughts of, well, I would not let my child do that to me.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it yesterday. Please keep me on track so I don't digress too much, but I was thinking about it yesterday as I was leaving my house to go, not even sure where I was going, but I remember thinking about how I thought about other parents who I felt were allowing their children to manipulate them.
Like by
And
choice?
by what seemed like by choice. And then I thought about like my strict rules and what I say and what I hold on to and where I bend. Because every once in a while I ask or demand something of my children, and then I notice it's just not worth it. And that's when I feel I bend. Now, I use Jason to clear that so that I don't have an experience like I'm winging the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I do, I guess, bring awareness to the whole process of what I do and what I think and how I make my decisions and all of that. We talk about it a lot, and that helps. So it's not like I'm not in survival all the time, even though.
And we're not strict in the same ways. It's an interesting balance we have where you're strict about one thing, which I wouldn't be strict about, and then you are, right? So.
Yeah, so shall we unravel that?
You don't have to. I'm just saying, but I'm just saying, like, it helps balance it out. We
think
help each
so.
other as mirrors with respect to that.
I think so. Jason is very, I think Jason's qualities are, he's really good at managing things. And if we say, like, we want to go to the museum today, he will know which train to take, what the ticket costs, and whether we need to get them ahead of time or not ahead of time. He will realize that we're going around 2:00, so maybe we need to think about a snack, and like that's how his brain works. Mine is more oriented towards making sure there's clear space so we can create, because creativity is one of the qualities I respect the most in people, and being free to create is the core of who I am. And so for me, it's more about allowing myself to create, giving them opportunity to create. So there's certain things that I can be flexible with. Like, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time making sure to go to bed unless I need space to do something, in which case go to bed so that I can have my own time.
Yeah.
I don't know, so we're different. We're very different, and I think that's both hard and cool.
And good. I mean, it balances ourselves out and has us always look at and revisit. Well, we decided this. Is this the right thing? Does it make sense? Maybe it doesn't make sense anymore. And we've had to deal with that a lot, I think, more so in the last 2 or 3 months, with our 10-year-old who's, questioning boundaries, as I expect many 10-year-olds do. It's my first one, so I wouldn't know, but, like, we've really had to look at, are we, at least I have, does this make sense? This bedtime, does it make sense? Why does it make sense? This movie, that we say you can watch or you're allowed to watch, does it make sense? Does it not make sense? There's been a lot of conversations, even though they're short sometimes, around these boundaries and shifting those.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's something else a little bit. It's about really getting out of their way, in a sense, like allowing them to grow into the human beings that they want to grow into. When I really think about, as people grow older, I mean, they're clearing things with their parents, but their parents are not necessarily an integral part of their day-to-day. Like, let me see if I can actually even communicate this, because there's competing thoughts in my mind right now. What I'm trying to say is that I think abandoning parents is what allows for freedom to become your full potential. Abandoning what your parents taught you and how they've done things. You can ignore it. I don't think you can just do whatever you want. Like, because again, my work with family constellation work, it's all about looking at what you got from your parents, and then with awareness, disentangling from it, hearing that blessing from them. So I'm pretty aware of that. I don't want to get in the way of who they become, but managing what I am wanting to do in the day, what I am committed to, my work, and what matters to me we're still in mid-40s, and I feel there's a lot that I still want to express in the world. I think sometimes that's almost like too selfish for being a parent, because some people are able to be more selfless And I'm among more selfish moms, I would say, in that sense. If that's how people would categorize it, I don't, it's up to you to judge me, however you wish to judge me. But I will not give away, if that makes sense. Like to me, the way I look at life in general is, if this is who I am, and I say that lightly, not like as a identity and ego, but if this is like what my true nature is, to feel free to create and express myself and all that, then I am unlikely going to create a life that looks like a set of prisons for myself, that prevents me from doing what my soul is out to do here and create. And there are times when being a parent looks like it's a direct threat to my freedom to create. And then there are other times when who I need to become to parent and to still create is mind-blowingly powerful, so much so that I feel, wow, it's a whole new level. Does that make any sense?
It totally does, and it totally does. And as you were talking, like I was being present to, and I keep remembering this conversation we have about, our kids are mirroring how we are, more so than how we tell them to be.
What we tell them to do,
Yeah, so like they're copying what we're doing as opposed to what we tell them, and
who we're being,
who we're being as opposed to what we're saying they should or shouldn't do. Which is I've heard about this for many years, even before I wasn't a parent, right?
People do tell
People tell us all the time, but you gotta live it to learn it, probably, right? And what I'm hearing even in you saying, like I have to, I'm gonna say oversimplified. And you didn't say these words, but it's almost like I gotta do me. I gotta take care of fulfilling on my desires, my potential, all of that. And if you don't, it's not like you can just turn that switch off. It's not like, okay, well, I'm not going to fulfill my potential. I'm going to be mom only, right? That wouldn't work, even if you decided to do it.
Yeah, it wouldn't. I'd be miserable, and what they would learn is how to be miserable in life. People say this, and it's so cliche, but I really believe it's true. They say, put an oxygen mask on you first, like the airplane instructions. Right. And I think it's really true. And I fully, I so love people who have empowered me to be that way. Because you get all kinds of unsolicited advice as a parent, and there are people who say, like, but you gotta kind of wait until they're older. I've heard a fair share of that. But then there was Samantha, for example, who told me, you cannot let yourself be miserable. Like, you can't, because, when we were looking at where to move, and both kids were wanting to live in Montenegro or in Canada, and they don't know what it looks like to live there, either place.
Yeah.
And you were flexible, so to speak, and I was the one who wanted to live in New York. Oh my God, like the kind of mother's guilt that provoked in me, and really questioning my own desires of being like, why do I desire something that is so contradictory to what my entire family wants? And I remember Samantha saying, you have to see what works for you and listen for that. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for who you are that allows for that. And I think this is maybe part of your personality, but also your training, that you're not threatened by my desires, that you're willing to just be like, okay, and give it space so that I can express it, because you were willing to entertain this paradox of, I want to live in a city and it's really hard financially, in every other way, like everything was working against us, so to speak. And that's I think really difficult, but that little voice, ever so little, what bugs me so much is like how quickly we can sell out. It's such a fine line. It's such a fine line between like continually standing for what you want, not being attached, not being bulldozering through, because my ego is designed that way to like just be a noisy machine that goes like I'll figure it out and I'll force it. Not in that way, but like quietly wanting, quietly desiring, and allowing ourselves to stand for that. And then your willingness to look at how we can make that work in every scenario of like, can we live in Canada and I have a place here? Can we move like all those explorations were only possible because you were willing to entertain that. But to go back to my whole point is that me being happy was important because I do nurture family. And even though I'm not a mom that like cooks, and look, there are moms that I think are like much more motherly as an archetype mother than I am. I offer my children creativity. I cook creatively as well.
But they're motherly when they don't feel good. They're like, I want mommy, you know.
Yeah, because I'm able to be with that emotion. I can offer them a very large space for feelings and allowing them to grow emotionally and have emotional intelligence as opposed to just be smart. As our kids are smart either way. So anyway, do you have any like final words and stuff? Because I think I don't want to make this too long.
You know, I think it's really great. I mean, this is of course a conversation for the ages, right? We could be talking about this for hours and hours and hours on end, but you know, I'm really left with just the willingness to, number one, like I'm present to like our willingness to always question, and in a good way question, right? Not like, you know, not destroy question, but like go like, is this really working? Is this, you know, is there something different? And what you said about standing for your happiness, you know, in the example you shared about you and what you desire, but it's true for me. I have my own version of that, and the kids as well, and it's important to, I've left with like how important it is to be in that inquiry, and that the inquiry brings so much value itself. And then when we, you know, when you allow it to direct your life in the direction you want to be. I mean, we're so happy where we are right now in New York. Like none of us would change it for anything.
Yeah, and we had no idea that this was possible.
Absolutely.
We just did the work and took steps.
We were willing to be in the inquiry,
We were willing to have it look either way. Like I was even willing to give up that.
Yes.
Like I wasn't attached to that space. Our one child is at home
today.
He hit his head because that's how parenting goes.
So
For the second time in the last 3 weeks. So he's reading.
He's coming over now. I think.
He's coming over. Maybe he'll come and say goodbye.
Yeah. You want to come and say goodbye to people?
Goodbye.
Can you say what your name is, maybe?
Marko Parente.
That's Marko Parente, and he's home with us tonight.
Today.
I mean today, yeah.
All right. See you next week.
Bye.